Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. So today started out like most weekdays do for me. I did a little 5K run this morning. Feeling it a little bit, but I'm getting back in the groove. So come out to my garage, decided, hey, what am I gonna do today? So let's see, we started out, I moved out the Honda XR 400, which I hadn't touched since I've been back. Took about 4 kicks and it started right up. So I got a few more things I'm going to finish on that bike, but I think this is going to be my next big project, and we'll talk about that a little bit later here. But when I was redoing my laminate floor the other day, I had a scraper that I was using, and I think it's one I might have got from my dad. You know, of course, I scammed a couple tools when I moved out of the house, and I think it's one of those, but it's one of my favorite scrapers, and I could probably go buy another one. But the wood handles on it are cracked and broken. And I had a piece of rubber wrapped around it. I don't know, I just really like this scraper, and it's just kind of one of those things, you know. So I'm gonna clean this up. And I've never done this before, but I'm gonna try to make some new handles for this. And I have no idea if I'm doing it right or wrong. And I'm definitely not an artisan at this sort of stuff. I have a good friend who kind of started a knife, well, like a sharpening business, and he's a super craftsman. He could knock it out of the park. I'm sure he would make some amazing handles. And I know kind of how to do it, but kind of, it's probably not really worth it, like I said, because how much does a scraper cost? But to me, I like to try things, I like to learn, and even if, you know, I spend 30 minutes or an hour doing this, I'm gonna learn something, and it might turn out fine, might be fun. So on that note, a hobby I had kind of started a while back here was making these planter boxes. So I was making these planter boxes to put succulents in. I have a little succulent garden that I started over here. I did this all after I retired. So I have a little succulent garden. And I've been trimming off of these and planting them. So you just cut off and they grow nicely, easy to grow. So I just take little trimmings, put them in those boxes, and they make nice gifts. I've been giving them away to people, and I've been making those out of old pallets. I just find old pallets laying around. Sorry about the sun there. So I just find old pallets, and whenever I see one, I'll throw it in the truck, and I take them apart and make those boxes. So I don't have really any money, just a little bit of time. And I thought, you know, maybe I could make a bunch of them, bring them to the swap meet and sell them. Everyone I've given them to really likes them. So, but from that, I got all these leftover trimmings from the pallets. So some of these are oak. So I think this piece is a nice piece of oak, and it's a nice width. We got a little bit of damage there, but I can cut that off, cut off where these nails are, cut off over here, and I think this will be enough to try to form up some handles for this thing here. So let me move us outside. I already brought out my table saw. So I got this table saw, I think it's a Father's Day gift about 10 years ago. It's a Ryobi BT3000. They make a little bit newer model than this one, but this is a pretty nice table saw for recreational use. It's kind of like a tabletop model, a little heavier duty tabletop model, mounted on these legs. I got wheels to make it easy to move. And of course I got a sliding cross cut here. Pretty decent fence, and also has a place to put a router on this side. But for basic stuff, it works pretty decent. So let's see if we can't set this up, make a couple cuts, and we'll set that up to see if we can't make a new handle for that scraper, just for the hell of it, you know? All right, first things first, of course, is safety first. So let's engage our safety squints. All right, good to go. Let's see how this angle looks. Amazing. We're gonna go ahead and set the blade to cut through here. So gotta raise it enough to go through. I'm gonna knock off those nails first. Wait for the blade to stop because you'd like to have 10 fingers when you're all said and done. And we will take this entire piece here just so that we have enough, but there should be more than enough. That turned out pretty good. We got a pretty decent piece. Now let's try to knock off this rough edge here. Move the camera here. You're right in the line of sight. I put the fence here. I measured the width of the scraper. So we're just slightly wider than the width of the scraper here, which should allow us to knock off that ugly piece. So let's make that cut. Safety squints engaged. So we got a pretty good width. Now the issue is going to be this side here. See how, hopefully you can see that. That's how thick the original grips on the scraper are. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide the fence over and hopefully we can cut this board. And I don't know how good of a view you're gonna have of this. There you go. I'm gonna cut this board in half this way. So I'm gonna have to crank it up and we'll give her a try. It's gonna be a tough one to get through there because it's gonna be very, very narrow. Thing should go all the way through. It has about a 4-inch cut. So let's give her a shot. Even if we don't get all the way through the entire thing, we're gonna have enough because I can cut it off. So. Now what we'll do is we'll switch it this way and we'll cut it. Actually, this side might be even the better side. We'll go with this one. It's a little bit thicker. We can round it off. Yeah, this is working out okay. I got the tripod wrapped around the back of the table saw here, and it gives a pretty good view. So now I have marked this. This is basically the length of the scraper, so I just measured on both ends. Added my sliding cross cut here. I just need to adjust the blade down because you generally don't want it to be cutting that much through there. You drop it down so the teeth are just going through the top. And we gotta tighten that down so we can. Got to have a nice feature. There you go. So we got our two halves. So let's bring this in the garage and see what we can figure out. Okay, so here's where we're at right now. Got my two pieces, my scraper. What I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace that onto there, and then I have a little scroll saw under here somewhere under all my tools, and I'm going to probably cut this out in the basic shape here of this, or option B is I can mark these holes, find some way to attach that. And that's going to be the problem. Now I don't have the right rivets for this, so I have to look around and think about what I'm going to do to attach it. So I could drill the holes, attach this, and I don't have a bench belt sander, but what I have done in the past is I have taken my hand belt sander, stuck it in my vise, and then just use this on there. So that might be a good idea because that'll shape it the way I want it. So far it's looking pretty good though. I need to think about how I'm going to attach this. I'm going to look around in my fasteners and see if I've got something that'll work pretty good, or maybe I'll look through my rivets, because this is held on with kind of like a rivet setup. So let me look around a little bit, think about how I want to do it. But so far I'm pretty pleased with what I have already. If I had a way to attach this and even rounded this off, this would be a much more usable tool already. So let me look around and we'll figure out what we're going to do. So I'm thinking that either I should go purchase some rivets that'll go all the way through here, or I could drill holes. I'm gonna have to drill these just a little bit bigger, and I can use these dowels, so I could drill holes all the way through, glue the dowels together, and then glue this whole mess together on here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick run over to the Home Depot. It's not far from here. But in the meantime, we might as well clean up this blade, because it's kind of a mess. So I'm going to clean it up. We'll cut back to what it looks like at that point, and then I'm going to see what I can come up with or decide what to do. I don't mind using these, but I don't really want to drill these holes bigger if that doesn't work, because then I'm not going to be able to utilize the proper rivets that are supposed to go through here. Looks like there was only 2 on here before, but there's 3 holes. So if I went with 3 of these and glued the whole mess together, it might work pretty good actually. So I'm gonna think about it a little bit while I'm sanding this bad boy down. So I spent about 15 minutes kind of cleaning this up. It looks better, but you can see there's a lot of pitting on there, so I'll just keep it oiled. I think I've decided I'm gonna just try to drill this out for these, because you know, this is all just trying anyway. If I fail, I mean, the tool was broken to begin with. So I'm gonna set up my drill press and we'll bring you on over there and we'll see how it works. All right, so these dowels are 5/16 diameter. So I've already drilled out these holes to 5/16 on here, and I've transcribed it over to my new hand grips here that I've made. I got them stacked one on top of the other. And just as a note, this metal here, extremely hard to drill through. So since I got these stacked one on top of the other, when I drill one hole, it'll go all the way through both, and hopefully it's going to work. Problem number one, my clamp's not holding down very good. put this through here, hopefully, to line everything up. Now, since that one's lined up, everything else should line up. Even if I got off a little bit there because of that coming out of there, it'll be all right. So continuing on with the no idea exactly what I'm doing, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue these dowels in here with some wood glue. I'll glue the dowels into the wood, if I can get any wood glue out of this wood glue container here. I just used this the other day, which means that it won't work now that I'm on camera. There's some glue in there. We will tap that in there. And just keep going. I got 2 in there. Let's get the 3rd one. This glue isn't cooperating the best, but like I said, I don't know what I'm doing exactly here, so we're all learning together on this video. Let's see if we can get it on the video. There we go, look at that. And I'm just kind of tapping it a little bit out, because I'm going to sand it off when all is said and done. So if I can get this out a little bit, it'll look flush when I'm done. There we go. See, they're both all out a little bit. Now, let's hope this thing fits on here. It's pretty close. All right, so I think a little bit of something to hold this to here is in order. Look at my workbench, it looks terrible. Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. So I'm gonna go with my old standby here. Superman glue, super glue. No idea if this is a good idea or not, but I don't think it can hurt. Can it? All right, now I'm going to just put some glue in all these holes. I'll put super glue on there. I'll try to get some glue in these holes. I might have to just put it on here. This might be the best way to go about it, since, man, my wood glue is failing on me. And we'll try to locate a clamp. Super glue this thing all together. Ooh, that's a lot of super glue, my friends. A lot of super glue. This way. This bottom one is It's not lining up. There we go. All right, now let's locate some clamps. I got these giant bar clamps, which are probably too big for this, but that's what I just had right here. And right now, there's that side. Let's get this side. Or should I just put it in the vise? That looks pretty good. It's clamped up pretty decent. That side, yeah, looks pretty good. All right, we're gonna let that sit. We'll come back. Little riders on the storm here. We better shut that off before we have to pay royalties. There we go. All right, so I got, there we go. Let's get this in the forefront. Boom. I changed out those big bar clamps, dug around and got some better clamps. It's been set up for, I don't know, maybe about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. I've been just cleaning the shop a little bit in the meantime because it's a disaster. All right, so that's that. I think that's gonna work okay. And I have my belt sander set up. So what I'd really like to do, and you can tell I've been sanding some stuff that wrecked this belt, but it's still gonna work okay. What I'd like to do is get myself a little bench sander, but I just don't have a whole lot of space for it. I guess I could clean up some of this crap over here and put it there. I've got a bench grinder there, but this works okay. It's gonna be loud. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust this here. Well, I guess that's about as good as you're gonna get for right now. I'll run it up for a little bit here, but it's gonna be too loud and annoying and noisy for this whole thing, but I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna start sanding these all off. And these I might actually just cut off, so I'll probably just start on this side. Sand those flat, and then just start sanding this to get it to contour to match the handle inside the scraper. And we'll see how it turns out. And it's gonna have to get plugged in or it will never work. And as you can see, I'm gonna be changing that belt. All right, I got the belt changed. Let's see what we can do here. As you can see, it's working pretty decent. I just hit that corner for just a second. So I'm going to set the camera down. I'll work it a little bit. We'll come back and see how it looks. But this looks okay. any of you out there are true craftsmen, you're probably laughing at me or telling me that I'm doing it wrong or whatever, but I'm telling you, I'm just a tinkerer. I don't know how to do everything, but I'm not afraid to try stuff. And so far, it's turning out pretty good, I think. I mean, it's already a usable tool. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to round over these edges on this thing, and we're going to hand sand it, and I think it's going to be done. I think it's going to be good, and well, it ain't going to be perfect, but it's going to be a usable tool. So let me get this thing going again. I'll sand it off, and I'll bring you all back in a minute, because you don't want to sit here and watch this for too long, because it's just not all that exciting. So you already had a couple minutes of it, that's enough. So after a couple minutes on the old vise mounted belt sander, got a pretty usable looking tool here. I'll do a little bit of hand sanding here. And you can see I didn't get it perfect here. I think a little bit more work and I'd have it exactly down on there. And this end is not perfect either. It's just a little bit off. But we got a usable tool now. Cleaned it up a bit. I'll put a little bit of oil on there to keep that from corroding, and then maybe I'll put a little bit of vegetable oil actually on this handle. That might be a good sealant on it. But it feels nice in the hand. A lot nicer than the piece of rubber hose I had stuck on there. And we learned something together here. So, all in all, I'm gonna call this a pretty darn good day here in the garage. So thank you very much for joining me here. I hope that I learned something, and I hope that you learned something. And if you saw something that I could have done better, feel free to comment below. I know there are probably a million things I could have done better, but you know, I spent a little bit of time in the garage. It was relaxing. I enjoyed it, and I fixed my tool. We'll see how long it lasts for, but we're back in business with it. So thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.